Next tonight, his regime was violent and murderous. President Idi Amin was notorious for his human rights violations. 40 years ago, he ordered Asians to leave Uganda.
Well, many of those who were forced to leave ended up in Leicester. Central Tonight's Rajiv Popat has travelled to the East African country to meet those who knew the dictator well and saw for themselves just how brutal he was.
I want to see that the whole Kampala street is not full of Indians. It must be proper black, and administration in those shops is run by the Ugandans.
Would you like to get all Asians out, really, sir?
Yes.
Back in 1972, President Idi Amin said he had a dream in which God had commanded him to order Asians to leave Uganda. These are the streets in the capital Kampala he was talking about. It was a very different city 40 years ago. Asian traders were everywhere. They were given just 3 months to go.
What will happen to these people if they don't go by the time limit?
I think they will be sitting like they are sitting on the fire. I will tell you this. You just wait after 3 months.
What will you do to them?
Okay, you will see.
One man who knew him well was Mansour Mogul, a Muslim community leader in Leicester. 40 years ago, he was the mayor of Masaka, a town in central Uganda, but he had to leave in the middle of the night with his family after receiving a tip-off that he was on Amin's death list.
If you met him, you would find him very friendly. He was affable. He would embrace you, he'd slap your back, he'll have a laugh with you, he'll invite you to have a meal with him, you could drink with him, although he didn't drink alcohol, and he would disarm you, and you'd feel very comfortable all of a sudden in his presence. But if you knew him well, you'd also be watching for danger.
Idi Amin was known as the Butcher of Africa, a ruthless dictator who was notorious for his killer squads. Malukanani was a photographer who spent a lot of time with him. He gave me a chilling account of what he saw and experienced, most of which is too graphic to broadcast.
I knew him very well. The guy was very crazy to get himself photographed and published. So he found me, that I'm the only guy who takes his best picture.
What was he like?
We call it good, bad and ugly. Sometimes he was very good, sometimes he was worse, and sometimes he was ugly, killing the people.
I kick you out of my office because I know that you have got something wrong with you.
In 1946, Amin joined the KAR, the King's African Rifles. They were Britain's African troops. Years later, his colonial regiment commander promoted him to commissioned rank. He developed a passion for rugby. Peter Lane from Uppingham in Rutland was also a keen rugby player when he worked for the government there.
I met him on playing seven-a-sides rugby in Ginger when I was very young. I was on the wrong side. The KAR had Sergeant Amin up front and 6 European officers behind him, and they get the ball and they just steamroller up the field. I got walked all over.
He was quite a large character, wasn't
he? He was extraordinarily
large,
big.
Yes. I would say he had impeccable table manners.
That's very patronising.
Well, he did. I had the privilege of sitting next to Idi Amin. He was extremely well behaved at dinner, but I'm afraid the good facet of his character didn't appear for very long, and he turned into be a rather cruel dictator.
In 1979, Amin was ousted. He lived in exile in Libya and eventually moved to Saudi Arabia, where he died 9 years ago. He lived life to the full, unlike the hundreds of thousands of victims who were killed during his 8-year reign of terror. Rajiv Popat in Kampala for Central Tonight.
Those reports have just been fascinating.
Yeah,
And it's Rajiv's final report from Uganda tomorrow, a country that he has wanted to visit for a long time because he was born there and his family was one of those who had to flee in the 70s. So you can see his very personal journey tomorrow night. That's at 6 o'clock on Central Tonight.
And if you've missed any of the previous features that Rajiv has put together, don't worry, they're all there on the website, as you would expect. ITV.com/Central is where you go to watch them again.
Looking ahead